It is my privilege, it is Caribbean Lifestyle privilege to bring you Jamaica's 8th Prime Minister, the Honorable Orette Bruce Golden. Mr. PM, welcome to Caribbean Lifestyle TV.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
It's good to have you here, sir. It's been a long time coming.
And I look forward to it.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Golden, the family man. You're married, 3 kids. Talk to the viewers about Mr. Bruce Golden before we get into any political thing, sir.
Well, you gave some of the history already. I was actually elected to public office at 24. Up to that time, the youngest ever elected MP, and that record still stands. Have spent most of my life in public service, in political service. It has had its ups and its downs. I have throughout all that period remained passionately committed to Jamaica and to Jamaica's possibilities. That's the only reason why I'm still in public office, in public life, because I believe that the best of Jamaica is yet to come, and I want to be part of helping to shape and fashion that. In terms of family, been married for 37 years. As you said, 2 daughters, 1 son. They're all grown, all adults, and they're all doing well in their chosen fields. And I'd like to think that it's part of the model of what helps to build up a strong society. I believe that so many of our problems in Jamaica stem from the fact that the family unit has deteriorated. We have children growing up not knowing their fathers, some of them just growing up without any parental direction and guidance. And it's no wonder that so many of them go astray. It's no wonder that so many of them turn to deviant behavior of one kind or another. We are, in fact, in the process now of establishing a National Parenting Commission, because we have recognized that we're going to have to help people to understand how to be good parents. We have to teach them. Some of them just don't know the responsibilities of parenthood. And it is something that we really want to encourage and try to see if we can once again embed in our culture. It used to be so in the distant past. It's one of the things that we have lost as we have embarked on new and what is held to be modern things. But there's so much of the old Jamaica that we need to restore, because we could have progressed, we could have modernized while still holding on to the values that are important to a society, and hopefully I can provide some leadership in that regard.
So 37 years of marriage has been good to Bruce Golden?
It's been good. I mean, marriage is always challenging, and particularly when you're in public life and political life. I mean, my wife raised my kids with my being absent from home so much that I wasn't able to play the role that I ought to have played, but she made up for that. The last one, I think I sort of got myself more involved in, and she still remains my pride and joy.
The favorite one?
Well, you know, her mother says that you can smell her from a mile off because she's spoiled rotten. I don't know that that is so, but she's a big woman now. I mean, she's 25, going 26. She's pursuing her PhD in audiology at Nova Southeastern. So, but they're real joy. I mean, they give you, when everybody else will turn against you, they're the ones who are always there.
Your dad spent 22 years as an elected official in St. Catherine, but before we get to that, 2 parishes boast that you're from there, Clarendon and Ginger Ridge, St. Catherine.
That's an interesting story. Actually, my parents lived at Ginger Ridge. My father was the headmaster of the Ginger Ridge Elementary School, and my mother taught on the staff. And Ginger Ridge is fairly close to the Clarendon border. Now, my mother's doctor at the time when, just before I was born, was Dr. Pershad Singh, whose office was in Chapelton. And because my mother had had a miscarriage before I came along, she decided this time, it wasn't so much a miscarriage, the baby died 8 days after it was born. She decided this time she wasn't taking any chances, so when she was approaching term, she wanted to be close to her doctor, so she went to Chapelton, stayed with the Stewarts, C.L. Stewart and his wife, who he was the founding principal of Clarendon College, and he was a good friend of my family. So I ended up being born in Mr. Stewart's house, close to Dr. Pershad Singh. Aunt Winnie, who was his wife, was my godmother. And then when I was probably about 2 or 3 weeks old, they took me back to Ginger Ridge. So in a sense, I'm from Ginger Ridge, but I was actually
born in Clarendon.
I came into this world in Chapelton.
So you made a quick stop in Clarendon, then you moved
Yeah, but
back.
I have a third parish, and that is St. Elizabeth, where my mother is from, and they also claim...
You're from there?
Well, they say so, and I can't deny that because that's where half of my roots are.
Your dad being a politician and you following into his footsteps, what was that like?
In a sense, it came quite naturally because I was very close to him, very, very close to my father. Even in the early days when I was a teenager, 11, 12, 13. Actually started in the referendum of 1961 when I would have been 13 going 14. I went out with him every night, every political meeting. We traveled, not just St. Catherine, but he campaigned in other parishes, and I was with him every night. Even when the old Morris Minor vehicle that he was driving broke down, we slept on the road. And because of that, in a sense, when he decided to retire, I had an interest. The people were so accustomed to seeing me up and down with him. I was at the university at the time, that they strongly asked that I be the candidate. One of the interesting things about that is that when my name was brought up at the central executive of my party, and the question was asked, well, how old is he? He's quite a youngster. How old is he? And they were told at that time, that I was 20. I couldn't even vote because at that time the voting age was 21. I gather that the entire meeting erupted in laughter, all with the exception of one person, Edward Seaga, who said he's 20 now. By the time the next elections are held, he'll be 24. Let us not disregard the possibilities, and I owe him a debt of gratitude for that. He probably rescued my political career from ending before it began. So,
in a sense, the connection with the Jamaica Labour Party started with you when you were a very young man.
Yeah, I was 2 years old when my dad ran his first elections. This was in 1949. So I grew up in politics. I grew up in the Labour Party. I grew up around people like Sir Alexander, Donald Sangster, Clem Tavares, Bob Lightburn, Ken Jones, you name them. So these were persons who were always in and out of my home. So in a sense, it was something that you would have had to resist to do other things because the pull was there. But apart from that, I always had an interest in public affairs. As a third, fourth former at St. George's College, I used to walk down to Gordon House in the afternoon. My father was Speaker of the House in 1962, and I would go down to Gordon House just to sit in Parliament and just listen to debates, and used to enjoy them. And I started taking a very keen interest in public affairs. So all of these things, in a sense, there was a confluence of influences and forces that propelled me into politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Jamaica's 8th Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Mr. Bruce Golding. We're coming to you this week from Jamaica House in Jamaica. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, you've heard the man talk about his family, him growing up in politics from the tender age of 2. Yeah. We're going to take a break, and we come back, we talk some more with Jamaica's Prime Minister, the Honourable Bruce Golding. We'll be right back.
Legal problems?
There's always a solution at Vernon & Associates.